Don't forget to be at the banquet tonight, Stan. My wife shouted as she ran out the door. It really means a lot for my career. Don't worry, I'll be there, I promised. I finished my oatmeal, put the dishes in the sink, and placed my mobile phone on the table. Then I went back upstairs and changed into comfortable clothes for playing golf. I threw my clubs and golf shoes into the car and drove off. I planned to meet a couple of friends at the course in Kutztown, about 100 miles down the road. We teed off at 11:30. It was a beautiful autumn day. There are things in life that money just can't buy. We finished the game at 3:30 and went into the clubhouse to eat. I hadn't seen Jack and Steve, two of my college friends, in several years, and we had a great time catching up. We ate and decided to play a few more holes since we were having such a good time. We finished as it was getting dark. That was fantastic, Jack mused as we finished the game. Do you need to leave right now, or can you have another drink with us, Stan? Have I ever turned down a drink, especially from such a gracious loser? I laughed. Let's head to the bar. We had a couple of rounds of beer and recounted old war stories from our glory days. I caught myself thinking that I was having a great time, and I need to meet up with Jack and Steve more often. As I approached the house, I could feel my mood gradually worsening. Brandy would be furious when I walked through the door. I had to deal with her anger and think of the best way to diffuse it. I chuckled to myself when I realized I was thinking about the impossible. She would be furious. "Where the hell have you been?" were her welcoming words as I entered the living room. "I told you that this damn banquet is very important for me, and for you too, to not forget to arrive there by 6. Sorry, dear. The boss sent me to Doylestown. There were terrible traffic jams. I just got back." I spoke with Tom. He was home by 6:30. He said you took the day off and didn't go to work. Also, you left your mobile phone on the kitchen table so I couldn't reach you. Brandy yelled, "You're a bad liar and a pathetic fool." "Well, now that everything is settled, I give up, dear," I smiled.
I'm exhausted.
Settled? What's settled? Right now, we've established that you're lying to me. How about telling the truth? Brandy demanded. Pirates hijacked me along with my car. They took me to an old warehouse to hold me for ransom, but then some aliens dragged me onto their ship and inserted probes into my teeth, eyes, and genitals, I replied. When they left the room, I managed to untie the knots on the rope they had used to tie me up. Then I had to figure out how to operate their ship. I accidentally flew into Scranton. On the way back, I had to hitchhike with a trucker to retrieve my car. But don't worry, I feel okay, just a bit tired. Brandy looked at me like I was crazy. She was so infuriated that for a few seconds, she couldn't even formulate a coherent sentence. Stan, what are you babbling about? Stop talking nonsense and tell me why you missed the banquet. You know it was important for me. I got a great promotion, and you were supposed to be there with me. It was extremely awkward that you weren't there, Brandy hissed through her teeth. I was playing golf with Jack and Steve, a couple of my old college friends, I confessed. At first, they were beating me, but I pulled ahead by 30 feet on the 7th hole. From there, I hooped them. This new club is simply a work of art. I swear, I made a few drives over 300 yards. Golf? Brandy repeated incredulously. You knew this dinner was very important to me, and you were playing golf? You planned this a few days ago, didn't you? Why did you tell me you would be at my event if you weren't planning to be there? I didn't want to hurt you, so I lied a bit. I hoped you wouldn't find out, I suggested. Not know? Didn't want to hurt me? Are you out of your mind, Stan? Brandy asked. How could I not notice that damn empty chair, idiot? How could you not hurt me by not showing up at such an important event for me? Looking back, I realize you were bound to find out, I admitted. But at the time, it seemed exciting and different. It just happened. I never wanted to cause you pain. It's just golf. Nothing personal. Are you drunk? Did you and your old friend smoke a joint, Stan? Brandy asked. You talk like you're out of your mind. I'm too tired to discuss your selfish, despicable actions tonight. You can sleep in one of the former kids' rooms. I don't want you touching me or even talking to me for a while. No problem, dear. I'll be as quiet as a mouse, I promised. Brandy looked at me as if I were some kind of insect she had never seen before. I smiled and headed to Brian's room. Brandy and I have been married for 24 years. Both our children were in college, and we were adjusting to an empty nest. I climbed into Brian's bed and quickly fell asleep, replaying my best shots in my dreams. The next morning, I got dressed for work, read the newspaper, and was eating cereal when Brandy entered the kitchen. "Don't think I'm done with you, Stan," she warned. "I don't know how, or if, you'll ever be able to make up for yesterday. I think you need to think about that. I'll be working late today, so start your penance by cooking your own dinner." "No problem, dear. I can take care of myself," I replied. "Have a good time." "I'm going to work." "What do you mean, have a good time?" Brandy demanded an answer. "Have a good day. Be happy. Don't worry about me. Don't take any wooden nickels, anything. It was just a figure of speech." She looked at me as if I had two heads, then turned and left for work. I picked up the phone and dialed my work number. I told them I was feeling unwell and would not be coming in today. I spent the morning shopping. At Best Buy, I finally found what I wanted and ordered the biggest damn flat-screen TV on the planet. It was delivered that same day, everything was set up, and it worked perfectly by the evening news. It worked so well that I kept trying to look down the newscaster's neckline. I felt as if she was in the room with me. The TV took up the entire wall in the living room. It even made the closet door inaccessible, but it was worth it. I called a few guys from work and invited them to watch the first game of the World Series. Then I ordered some pizzas and drinks at another place along the way. When Brandy walked into the room, we were watching the third pitch. To say she looked surprised would be an understatement. She actually lost her ability to speak. Harry, a guy from our accounting department, saw her, jumped up, grabbed her hand, and shook it. "Congratulations on the promotion. This TV is really cool. Stan, you're a lucky guy to have a wife like her." He rambled. Thank you. Thank you so much," Brandy hesitated. "I'm very tired, so I'll leave you guys to watch the game and go to sleep." What was that? She really took it well. I was curious to see how she'd react in the morning. I was dressed for work and reading the morning newspaper when Brandy walked into the kitchen. "You will remove that damn monstrosity from here and return it to the store before I get home from work tonight. Do you hear me, Stan?" Brandy yelled. "I hear you, dear. No need to raise your voice," I chuckled. "I'm not deaf." The door slammed so hard, I thought the windows might shatter. Sometimes she was hard to understand. I was watching Cheers when Brandy came into the living room in the evening. "I thought I told you to return that thing today," she began. "You said you heard me and that I didn't need to raise my voice. Now I come home and this crap is still here," she yelled. "Which part did you not understand, idiot?" "I never understood why Norm is on that show," I replied. "He's not very funny." Foam and saliva flew from Brandy's mouth as she tried to formulate a coherent sentence. Her face turned crimson. "Stan, listen to me. I wanted you to return the TV, but you didn't do it." "I didn't buy this thing to return it, dear," I smiled. "I like it, and I'm going to keep it." "I understood the words you said this morning. The problem you're facing right now is that I didn't obey your order, not that I didn't understand your words." It had never occurred to Brandy that I would defy her direct command. This was new territory, and she was completely taken aback by it. "What's gotten into you lately, Stan? You miss an important event with a lousy excuse, and then you order a huge and, I'm sure, very expensive TV without discussing it with me. Are you feeling okay?" she asked, somewhat anxiously. "I feel great, dear. Thanks for asking. I knew that if I asked about the TV, you would say it was a bad idea. To save myself some heartache and avoid arguments, I just ordered it. It's much simpler, and no one gets hurt," I added. "Nobody gets hurt, Stan?"
I'm dumbhead.
Brandy growled. "It really upsets me. This thing is too big for the room. I can't even reach the vacuum cleaner. You spent a lot of money on something that really doesn't fit in our house, and you didn't consult me. How could you think this wouldn't hurt anyone?" "When you put it that way, I see what you mean. I can't just do something because it makes me happy without thinking about how it affects you, right?" Exactly, Stan. You've never done anything like this before. Why do you need to be taught this all over again? Brandy asked. You're acting like a selfish child. I think you're right. I'll return the TV on Monday. Okay? I replied. I'd prefer if you did it tomorrow, Stan. I need to go to work tomorrow for a few hours. Working on a Saturday is unpleasant, but that's why I got the promotion, Brandy reasoned. Please, have it removed by the time I get back tomorrow evening. I nodded in agreement and went back to watching Shelley Long. I always had fantasies starring her. On Saturday afternoon, I called Brandy's parents and invited them to have lunch with me. When we arrived at the cafe, I introduced everyone to Cindy Walsh, who was waiting there for us. Cindy looked tired and worn out, and I wondered if she could hold up well. Brandy's parents paid no attention to anything but the free lunch I treated them to. At 3 o'clock, we followed Cindy to her house and parked behind her in the driveway. Cindy offered us seats in her tastefully decorated living room. We settled there with Brandy's parents. Then Cindy walked over to the security system control panel and pressed several buttons. The noise was deafening, sirens wailed, and a loud voice warned any intruders to leave the building immediately. It was quite intimidating. Suddenly, the door burst open, and Cindy's husband, Charles, ran into the room with a baseball bat. He was completely naked and in a state of semi-arousal. Not recognizing us, since he didn't know Brandy's parents or me, he menacingly swung the bat at us. Cindy remained out of his sight. Get the hell out before I bash your brains in, he yelled. Get the hell out. He pulled the bat back. For a second, I thought I should pitch to him. Then a shout stopped him. Mom, Dad,
Stan.
what are you doing here? Brandy's parents, distracted from the naked baseball player, saw that Brandy was standing in the doorway, clutching a sheet to her clearly naked body. I invited them here for some entertainment, Mrs. Burns, Cindy replied, entering the room. Charles has never been good at hiding his affairs. I knew he would have sex in our house with some tramp when I told him I had to go to Philadelphia for the weekend. I even guessed it would be you, Mrs. Burns, seeing how attentive he was to you last night at the banquet. I stood up and nodded to Brandy's parents. I walked over to Cindy and shook her hand. Then I shifted my gaze from Brandy's new boss, Charles, to Brandy herself. Notre Dame is playing today, and I don't want to miss it on my big screen. When you're done, you'll drive your parents home, right, Brandy? I asked. I'm sure they won't mind waiting a bit. During the commercials, I'll take some trash out of the house, but it won't be the TV. The game was over, and I had moved all of Brandy's clothes into the hall and living room. Then she entered the door quietly. She looked at all her personal items and gasped. Stan, please don't do this. It was just a fling, nothing more. I never wanted to hurt you. You weren't supposed to find out. You need to trust me. We've been together too many years to just throw it all away. She pleaded. Not find out? How could I not notice that damn empty chair, idiot? I asked, pointing at the chair. This marriage was very important to me, and you just went and had sex. I love you, not him, Stan. Maybe that's true, maybe it's not. Actually, it doesn't matter anymore. You were furious when I played golf during the event that was very important to you. Your words, not mine. Sleeping with your boss is a bit worse than spending time playing holes, isn't it, Brandy? I'm suffering, believe me, Stan. My father called me names. They think I'm cheap trash. And I can't work with Charles again. Can't we leave my affair in the past? Brandy pleaded. Your sleeping with another man is something I can leave in the past, Brandy, I calmly replied. I saw her eyes sparkle at my words, but then tears streamed down her face as I finished my thought. I can't leave the lies, the disrespect, and the inability to trust you in the past. You've tasted something similar for me these past few days. It's impossible to live with such a person, isn't it? Take your bed, Brandy. My lawyer will contact you on Monday. The TV stays, but you don't.
Thank you for being with us and listening until the end. If you found it interesting, please subscribe, give us a like, and leave your comments.